I saw a post on Twitter that made me think a lot about moving forward myself as an indie game developer who's currently making his own engine, which, you know, is definitely a big part of my content and who I am and what I enjoy about making games. However, ultimately, looking in the future, if I really want to be a game developer that not only makes one game, but multiple games, right? Maybe I should take a look at engines and see if they have something to offer, maybe allow me to do something faster and more efficiently than making my own engine. And so the post is basically stating that there are so many big developers, like for example, and this one, I didn't even know this was happening until I read this post. CD Projekt Red is switching from the Red engine to Unreal Engine. This is something that happened much earlier. I think it happened in 2022. And but they are not the only ones. So like Konami is using Unreal Engine instead of the Fox engine for Metal Gear Solid. And then the one that stood out to me the most is rumors of Bethesda switching over from their own engine to Unreal Engine for Elder Scrolls 6. And so why are all the studios dropping their in-house engines? So I don't understand this either. Or do I? I think what happened is that the talented people left the company, and what is left is developers that are not experienced enough yet to replace the value that was lost. And that's why we get buggy games, incomplete games, and oftentimes, just in my opinion, and I'm not a big AAA fan, these games are boring. And the last big AAA game that I played, apart from Black Myth Wukong, which is awesome, and Elden Ring, was Diablo 4. And I think the game, technically, graphic-wise, it looks nice. Yes, I agree. But from a technical standpoint, I don't think the game is groundbreaking at all. I've been programming now for 4 years, trying to make games for 4 years. I've learned a lot. I'm by no means on the level of like a big game developer, absolutely not. But I'm starting to see what's going on behind, you know, the computer screen. And in my opinion, Diablo 4, whether that be the stat system, the item system, how abilities interact, how you can change abilities in the game, whether that be riding on a horse, the collision detection to your character, I don't think this is a masterpiece at all. I think this is mediocre at best. The one thing that I like, and it's not even as good as Diablo 3, is the movement system. How you move and stutter step. But in my opinion, that should be a given. It's easier to employ people already experienced in an engine, like React being the king of web since everyone knows it. They simply want to save time, especially if you want to port it to console and other platforms. So yeah, I agree with you, but they should have this already. So for example, CD Projekt Red has worked on their game, an engine, for years. How do they not have ports? They should have ports by now. I know it takes a long time to port your engine, but they have been making games for, like, when did they first make Witcher 1? It's about money, not knowledge, because platform changes all the time. It's expensive to keep up. I think it's expensive because they don't have the manpower, yes. But I don't think it's difficult to do at all, no. So a game like Witcher 3 is not gonna run on the phone. Your target platform for Witcher 3 is going to be Windows first, and then Linux second. And then as a third option there is going to be Mac. These are your three options. And when you build such a game once for these three platforms, then you are mostly done. There's going to be some issues that come up, but you're mostly done. And you need to consistently implement the latest tech stack, like back in the day, started with CUDA, then physics, now RTX, DLSS, and so on. I think it's good to for indies to choose engines that don't take a cut for a bigger chance of earning enough to keep yourself afloat without having to do a second job. Yeah, so for indies, I can see that. Hardware changes too, so it's not a linear process. So what you're saying is the amount of work required to... So you guys are saying they switch because of different platforms. Because they don't have experts on different platforms anymore. I think it's just to save time, to be honest. I don't think it's the porting part. And I think that the big companies lose talent. Cakez engine win. Well, Cakez engine, you know, we'll see, you know. Maybe 2D, but 3D, I mean, physics is gonna be a pain. So yeah, anyways, I saw an article here, and so this is apparently the reason. Hopefully they explain this here. CD Projekt Red. It's from 2022, so 2 years ago. CD Projekt Red on switching to Unreal Engine. It's a perfect match for us to use this technology. I want to know why they switch, because ultimately I will try out Unreal Engine 2 whenever I make a 3D game. And I can only see, like, Black Myth Wukong was made in Unreal Engine, Palworld was made in Unreal Engine, and just so many games. And even you guys, when you post on Discord in Showcase, you show so many cool things that Unreal Engine can do. I think for 3D games, it's just the first station in English that you should go to. It can be easier to attract talent. So I find this interesting also because you guys remember the developer of Blazing Sails, Toasty Stump. This game is made in Unreal Engine, and the people that made this game had no experience in coding. This is made by people that had no experience in coding. And so if you see this, right, and you're thinking about making a 3D game yourself, why wouldn't you try to make a game in Unreal Engine first over doing something else? If you can make something like this with enough time and effort, and as far as I know, it took them, I think it was 2 years. Obviously, the game has been polished since then by Toasty Stump, but still, the game was playable. Blueprints are a nightmare. Well, for you, but maybe not for these guys. The blueprints they had in the game, they looked really bad, yes. You know, it was completely all over the place. Blueprints are inefficient if you can code. Imagine dragging and dropping nodes. I remember he said he needed to rewrite everything. He needed to organize a lot, yes. And it took him a year to do that. Yeah, so he needed to rewrite everything. But by the time he rewrote everything, he still had they had a game out. The game was already on Steam. It was already generating money. And so the moment you generate money, you can also hire someone to fix up your blueprints, you know, if you're too lazy to do it yourself. So the argument for Unreal Engine is really huge. And so let's see why CD Projekt Red, of all people. Like for me, CD Projekt Red was the one company that would optimize everything. Like when Witcher 3 came out, it was so awesome. Like I still remember the screenshots I took from the game. I showed the game to my friends and I was so proud of showing them these insane Sonnenuntergang in English and insane forests and, you know, God, that was so cool. And I was like, these guys are the pinnacle of game development. Sunset, yeah. These guys, they know how to make an engine and they know how to optimize. You know, and then Cyberpunk 77 happened. But yeah, anyway, so they are switching to Unreal Engine 5 for the new Witcher game. CD Projekt has shared some details about its current plans and business operations in the latest earnings call with investors. The company opened up about switching to Unreal Engine 5, the new Witcher saga, and the future of Cyberpunk 77. Upcoming games, Unreal Engine updated business strategy. CD Projekt Red has elaborated on its ongoing shift from its proprietary technology, Red Engine, to Unreal Engine 5. The company said it is a perfect match for us. Unreal Engine is known for great developer tools, so we believe that some processes and pipelines should become more efficient once we fully roll out the technology. CD Projekt President Adam Kinski noted, "We are now running workshops and are still learning, but there are also many more developers familiar with this technology." Yeah, so everyone is using it, right? Have the engine team. Yeah, the game was buggy, not the engine. Who's to say their new game won't be as buggy as Cyberpunk 77? Buggy using existing professional engine. Imagine bug amount in custom engine self-made. Cyberpunk equals buggy mess. Cake 77. Cyberpunk 77, okay. Shut the fuck up, Ishi. I guess getting new developers adopting to your company's custom engine sounds quite difficult. Yeah, so I can see that, which is, you know, it ties into my point. Talented people left the company. They were the gold standard before Cyberpunk release. They have done an incredible job fixing the game and their reputation, but no good comes from putting corporations on pedestals. As a C++ nerd, what do you think about trying Hazel Engine? I think Hazel Engine won't be ready yet. It will be like Godot, where there will be so many features missing or incomplete that the moment... So when I use something, I don't always want to think about if I used something else, I would be faster or it would be better. Because then I'm not having fun. And so it's like when you play a build in Path of Exile for the first time and you make your own build and you think that you're going fast, you should never, never, never watch a stream of someone else playing Path of Exile. Because the moment you do that, you start to realize that your build is actually shit and you are 10 times slower than the worst build that someone else can do. And at that point, you're not having fun anymore. And so that would happen to me when I use like something like Godot or Hazel Engine, because I would know that, oh, Unity could do the job better, or, oh, Unreal Engine could do the job better. And I would have much more documentation and many, many more forum entries of people asking the same questions. And so, yeah, that's why I wouldn't use it. Anyway, so, okay, so many people are familiar with the technology. So the pool of potential hires is definitely bigger than before. So yeah, they have lost talent and now they need more people. The company said it was switching to Unreal Engine in March when it announced the development of the new Witcher game. So Cyberpunk 77 and its upcoming expansion will be the last CD Projekt games built with the Red Engine. I mean, they can give the Red Engine to me if they don't want it. Guys, would you use the Red Engine if they give it to you? And you have like full access to the source code and everything? Never? That would take too much time to learn. I guess you're right. Would you read the documentation though, Cakez? You mean the Red Engine? I don't know. I mean, I could change the engine, you know? But I'm pretty sure the engine just builds for 10 days. I'm trying to get away from my PoE addictions and the first thing I hear when I tune in was PoE. Alright, let's see. CD Projekt Red confirms the new Witcher game in the making, announces partnership with Epic Games. Aha. So it will probably be on Steam, but it will also be on Epic Games then. A new game in the Witcher series is now in the making, as CD Projekt Red officially announces the beginning of the new saga. The company has revealed that the game will be built with Unreal Engine 5. CD Projekt Red shared news on the Witcher official website showing a snow-covered medallion as the game's first teaser. Cool. The studio is not ready to disclose any details about the upcoming game, including its targeted release date. Yeah, okay. However, CD Projekt Red announced a strategic partnership with with Epic Games. It means that the next game in the Witcher series will be built with Unreal Engine 5. We will closely collaborate with Epic Games developers with the primary goal being to help tailor the engine for open world experiences. So I don't like that, man. I just don't like... So, guys, who of you in chat thinks that Witcher 3, the world itself was too big? Like, you had too much empty plains to traverse, even using a horse. Only played the first one, the first Witcher. Oh, the first Witcher was good, bro. Godot's not ready yet. You should switch to Unreal Engine. Yeah, Godot's not ready yet. Like, for 3D, definitely not. 2D, maybe. But even in 2D, I missed a lot of features. What's wrong with Unity? For 3D, I'd rather do Unreal Engine, to be honest. Because I saw games like Palworld explode and Black Myth Wukong explode. And they were both made in Unreal Engine. And I constantly see really cool updates about Unreal Engine, Nanite technology, about what you can do in Unreal Engine. And the last time I saw something crazy from Unity is when they announced that they're going to charge you per installation. I don't know, you know, it's like, pick the one, you know? If I see the Unity logo, you'll bet it will be a fun... No, I don't think about when I see the Unity logo, it will be a shitty game, because ultimately there are many really good, really good games made in Unity, whether that be 2D or 3D. Prove me wrong, guys. Give me a good 3D game in Unity. Crap game, Escape from Tarkov, Valheim, Last Epoch. Last Epoch is made in Unity? Wow. Yeah, so there are really good ones. City Skylines, don't talk about City Skylines, okay, bro? City Skylines had like 40 FPS or something, or 30 FPS. That's probably, yeah, that looks really good. And it's made in Unity engine, right? There are good games from Unity, yeah, that looks really nice. So both engines are viable. I suppose it's just a preference. Unreal Engine seems premium. As someone who's just started getting into game dev, well, it's difficult to say. We're gonna try both in the future. But okay, so there are really good games in both engines, which leaves your game to be made in a custom engine if you need it. So for example, Noita. Yeah, Noita is a really good example, exactly. All of the pixels being animated, right? Where custom engine makes sense. Because you need to animate every single pixel. Cakez, let's be fair here. It took you 3 days for a circle. Yeah, I know, I'm not the biggest math guy. I know that, yeah. Sorry if you talked about this already, but what would you recommend for 2D as a beginner, Cakez? Well, you mean which engine? I would recommend you Unity first. Try out Unity, see if you like working in the engine. And then stick to the most basic Unity features that you can think of. And just experiment with the traditional Unity way of doing things. Now that Unity Dots is out, maybe you can start working with it and it's easy to use. But I can tell you from my own experience, when I started using Unity and I used Unity Dots, I found myself getting stuck on doing the most basic things. Like character controller. Couldn't even do that. You could do a custom 3D engine in 3 months if you want to, for fun. Yeah, you can, but, so like, here's the problem. Let's say you make a custom 3D engine in C++ in 3 months. And what you have built yourself there is a way to load meshes, to load textures, and to display those meshes together with textures. UV mapping, maybe you added in physics-based rendering. You also have a way to maybe edit these meshes and save them to some sort of JSON file or whatever file format you want to use so that you can edit levels. Maybe you have been able to do that. Maybe you even got as far as added in basic triangle capsule collision so that you can move your character controller, which is a capsule, around in the world. Here's where it gets interesting. You will have a bunch of edge cases where you are being squashed by multiple triangles and multiple locations. Let's say you have something like this top-down view. This is where the annoying part starts. Okay, now you have a corner like this and top view, okay, mind you. This is your character controller and you're trying to move in this direction, sorry, in this direction, okay? You're trying to move here. What if you have another what if you have another NPC that's also pushing you here in this way? And so what you do most of the time when this happens and these overlap, you push these away from each other. This capsule would be pushed from the origin point in this direction. And let's use blue to, show the push direction. You would push this capsule here and you would push this capsule maybe here, something like that, you know, like it will be like perpendicular, of course. So it will be more like maybe this and this. But how do you make sure that you don't start clipping here? How do you make sure that you're not getting into this position? So there's so many things that can happen, right? And bro, you ask JDH and JavidX. Better get good, yeah. So essentially you're spending so much time on this. Problems like this will arise. Yes, code and agree, you're right. You will have these problems. You will not have these problems in an engine, but you will have different problems. And here's where you need to make the decision. This is the line that you have to find for yourself. On the left here, do you want to make an engine or do you want to make a game and then focus on the problems that come in the game? Because ultimately, when you're building something like this in an engine, you will also have to do this. You will have to do both. On the left side, you not only have engine, but you also have game. And over here, mostly you have game. That's the thing. And that's why this takes longer. And so that's why not everyone is doing that, of course. Like, it sounds simple, but that's just how it is. And oftentimes, let's say you want to work together with someone. They don't know your engine. Of course not. You made it. So you need to teach them your engine. I've been making my game for about 3 years on Twitch, and I've had people ask me if they could help me, especially in the beginning, multiple times. I would need to spend time teaching them my game engine. The game engine that changes all the time. And ultimately, it would be more work for me to teach them how my engine works and at the same time build the engine and then tell them about every change I did than if I were just to program it myself and then have someone do the art. Boxity is nice. Yeah, AQ, that's true. Yeah. All right, let's see here. This partnership is a significant step for the Poland-based studio, which has been making games. See, that's what I mean. With its own technology, Red Engine, since the release of Witcher 2, Assassins of Kings in 2011. So over 10 years they spent making their own game. And then after 11 years, they were like, I can't do this anymore. Like, it's too much work, guys. Let's go. That's crazy, man. So here's what I think. I have made my game Tangy Defense and I'm still working on it and I will release the game in C++. I think if you want to make a game and it's reasonably small and you just want to learn, that's when I would make an engine. I don't regret that I went down this route. However, the more I have gone down this route, the more I see the value of engines. Ultimately, you need to make a decision. Let's see here. It is vital for CD Projekt Red to have the technical direction of our next game decided from the earliest possible phase, as in the past we spent a lot of resources and energy to evolve and adapt Red Engine with every subsequent game release. Yeah, so that's also what you need to do. You need to change your engine to the needs that you have. So if I was making Neuter now, I would need to change my engine to handle single pixel simulation. I don't have that supported right now. And I can't even do this in a big engine, but I would need to change my engine and that takes time. And if you're making generic, let's say AAA games, you don't really need to adapt the engine anymore because it's already very generic. The partnership with Epic, however, doesn't mean that CD Projekt Red is completely abandoning its engine. Okay, for example, Red Engine is still being used for the development of the upcoming expansion. Yeah, because the game is made in the engine. Anyways, okay, I wonder if there's more reasons, but ultimately that's it. Cyberpunk will be there. CD Projekt provides an update strategy in October, blah, blah, blah. Okay, interesting. I think this is a bit sad to see because Witcher 3 was such a great game and I fear that we will just get a bunch of Unreal Engine clone games. You know how you can tell that a game is made in its own engine? Because of the way it plays. The engine has its own characteristics. You will be able to tell that games are made in Unreal Engine. And therefore, the uniqueness might go away. You can almost always tell when a game is made in Unreal Engine. Yeah, you can. Like, especially because of the motion blur. Still very interesting. Like, what are these comments you say? What about Unity? Too much talent leaving? Yeah, so that's what I think so too. If you can't keep talents in-house because you fire and rehire people every project, then it's what you get. So that's what I think so too. Like, a lot of people just left. As a programmer, I definitely prefer an engine where I can change the engine code and work in C++. Yeah, I agree with you, right? I love that too. However, when you have to code every single thing yourself and you spend 90% of your time coding your engine rather than making your game, and you also have to please investors, or even worse, let's say you're an indie developer, you want to make a 3D game, you have saved up some money, now you need to deliver a game, hopefully to be able to pay yourself with the game's release. You don't have time to spend making a bunch of code changes in a C++ engine. And that's ultimately what you're gonna do in the beginning. If you wanna make a generic game, let's say Vampire Survivors, a 2D side-scroller, a 3D game where it's mostly about action combat, I think engines are great. And then you, again, like the Neuter example is the best example I can think of, where you have to simulate every single pixel yourself. That is probably only possible in your own engine. You have to make your own engine for that. And so for a tower defense game like mine, not probably, it would have been the best if we think about just the game to make the game in Unity. That being said, however, Dev Spudgus needed 4 years for Stardust, is still working on it. Adam C. Yunus is still working on his game for over 5 years, as far as I can tell. Pirate Software is still working on his game for over 5 years. And there are so many examples of people trying to make games in engines, but ultimately failing. I think it doesn't really matter whether you use an in-house engine or your own engine or Unity or Unreal Engine. Because ultimately it's also a learning experience.